we've got to ask, how many men in the US might be raising a child that isn't biologically theirs, completely unaware of the truth? It's a real concern, especially when it comes to the way child support works. The idea that any woman can simply name a man, and he's legally obligated to provide financial support for a child he may not even be the father of, well, that's a serious issue. It does seem unjust and unfair. In cases where women falsely claim someone as the father, there should be consequences for sure, maybe even legal ones. After all, ruining a man's life, his family, and his career with false accusations shouldn't go without some form of accountability.
Revolutionary change in Tennessee law. In a significant shift, the state of Tennessee has enacted a groundbreaking law mandating paternity tests for newborn babies. This move means paternity tests are no longer optional. They are now mandatory. This legal transformation essentially transfers the burden of proof to establish paternity. Previously, a man named as the father was legally presumed to be so, and even if a subsequent DNA test proved otherwise, he remained liable for child support. This new law, however, changes that paradigm entirely. Under the revised law, before any financial obligations are placed upon a putative father, he must undergo a paternity test to confirm his biological connection to the child. If the test reveals he is not the biological father, he can simply opt out, no questions asked, preventing cases of paternity fraud. This was necessary because of so many tragic stories that have happened to men. One such story happened to my friend, John. Tragic story. Meet John, a hard-working and diligent man in his early 30s. He's been in a seemingly happy relationship with Sarah, his girlfriend, for several years. They've had their share of ups and downs, like any couple, but have always managed to work through them. One day, Sarah surprises John with the news that she's pregnant. John, initially overwhelmed, is eventually filled with joy at the prospect of becoming a father. He embraces the idea with open arms, attending prenatal classes with Sarah, helping set up the nursery, and eagerly preparing for the arrival of their child. As Sarah's pregnancy progresses, she mentions that her doctor has suggested a routine paternity test as part of their prenatal screening. John, who trusts his partner completely, doesn't see any reason to object. After all, he's confident he's the father of their child. The day of the paternity test arrives, and John accompanies Sarah to the clinic. They both provide their DNA samples, share smiles, and await the results, confident that the test will merely confirm what they already know. Weeks later, there's no sign of the results. John asks Sarah, and after a lot of probing and prodding, she reveals the results had actually come in a few days back. John is utterly taken aback when he reads the report, which states that he is not the biological father of the child Sarah is carrying. Shock turns to confusion, then anger, as he grapples with the implications of this revelation. John confronts Sarah, and their relationship quickly deteriorates into a maelstrom of arguments, tears, and accusations. Sarah admits that she had a brief affair with someone else. She had hoped the baby was John's and didn't want to destroy their relationship by revealing the truth. Realizing the gravity of the situation, John seeks legal advice. He learns that, in many jurisdictions, he may still be legally responsible for the child's financial support, even if he's not the biological father. This revelation adds further distress to an already tumultuous situation. The emotional turmoil continues for John. He's torn between his love for the child he believed was his own and the immense betrayal he feels from Sarah. Their once happy relationship is now shattered, and he's grappling with complex legal and ethical questions about his role in the child's life. A victory for men and justice. However, in a momentous legal development, the state of Tennessee has taken a groundbreaking step by introducing a transformative law mandating paternity tests for all newborn babies. This marks a monumental shift in the legal landscape, as paternity tests are no longer a matter of choice. They have been elevated to the status of a legal obligation. This seismic shift effectively transfers the onus of proof when it comes to establishing paternity. In the not-so-distant past, when a man was identified as the father, legal conventions automatically presumed him to be the biological parent. This presumption held even in the face of subsequent DNA tests that might incontrovertibly prove otherwise. In such cases, the burden of child support continued to rest squarely on his shoulders, despite the glaring evidence that he was not, in fact, the biological father. This legal reform is a significant victory for men who have been compelled to support children they later discover are not biologically related to them. Once legal documents were signed and maternal promises accepted, men found themselves trapped without legal recourse, as paternity fraud is not typically considered a criminal offense. Statistics reveal that approximately 5% of all pregnancies worldwide involve a man who is not the biological father of the child. While this percentage may seem relatively small, on a global scale, it translates to millions of fathers being deceived annually. The requirement for a court order in France to legally conduct a paternity test is an example of a system that lacks fairness. However, laws like the one in Tennessee represent a step in the right direction. Ironically, it's quite amusing that this change is happening in Tennessee, of all places. Tennessee seems to have baby mamas with a new boyfriend every week, so a law like this makes sense. Ensuring the right individual is held responsible for supporting a newborn is undoubtedly a step towards fairness. While legal changes are significant, the ultimate solution to these issues lies in responsible family planning and the use of contraceptives. Unfortunately, not everyone adheres to these principles, especially women who often desire children for the wrong reasons, such as control, feelings of superiority, or financial benefits from the man. Eliminating paternity fraud. States with automatic spousal paternity laws often grapple with numerous cases of paternity fraud. Being married does not guarantee fidelity, and as paternity tests have become more accurate and affordable, their use can prevent unwarranted legal proceedings. Alongside implementing such laws, imposing fines on women who intentionally misname fathers is a prudent measure. This can deter wrongful actions that can have devastating consequences for men. During my previous employment, I encountered an unfortunate situation involving a man whose ex-partner repeatedly moved from state to state, falsely naming him as the father of her child each time she applied for welfare benefits. Remarkably, she was fully aware that a DNA test had already conclusively excluded him as the biological father years earlier. In this case, it is evident that the woman in question should have faced legal consequences for her actions, including potential fraud charges, and at the very least, should have been removed from the welfare program due to the hardship she imposed on this man. At the time of our conversation, this man was embroiled in his fifth such case initiated by his ex-partner. This situation raises numerous ethical and legal concerns, emphasizing the need for addressing and preventing such abuses of the welfare system. Simplifying DNA testing. Today, DNA testing is a straightforward process, requiring just a swab inside the cheek, taking approximately 30 seconds. The procedure must be conducted in the presence of credible witnesses to maintain the chain of evidence, which is usually manageable. The situation becomes especially complicated when men are financially responsible for children who are not biologically theirs. I've witnessed numerous cases where these men, despite struggling to make ends meet, were burdened with child support payments for children they had no biological relation to. For some, this unjust financial burden has led to dire consequences, including homelessness, job loss, or significant income reductions. What's even more frustrating is that adjusting these support arrangements is neither a simple or swift process. Often, it takes considerable time, leaving these individuals in dire straits before any changes can be made. In conclusion, while this Tennessee law marks a significant milestone, it also highlights the need for comprehensive solutions in addressing paternity issues and ensuring fairness in family matters. And that's it for today on Sigma Traits. Make sure you hit that like button, smash that subscribe button, and don't forget to ring that notification bell so you can be the first to know when my new video drops. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. See you all tomorrow.